Let's get you set, Bronson.
Yep, right here. Bronson.
Oh,
Bronson.
Have you done anything fun this week? I know this is kind of like, this is a funny question for Bronson because it's like, what fun things do I talk about? If you follow on social media, I was like, oh, you were in Atlanta last weekend.
Yeah.
And then I saw you run 15 miles the next morning.
Yeah.
And then I see you at work the next day.
That's all fun.
I'm all over the place. Last night I went to iHubs. Jeremy Andrus from Traeger spoke at iHub to all the students. And then at a church barbecue, so that was fun. It was a salmon fry, so I ate like a whole fillet of salmon, I'm not gonna lie, by myself, like a Costco size one. And then my cousin played against BYU in volleyball last night. She's on Utah State. So then we went and caught that into that game, they tied it. They tied it up in the fourth match, and then it went into the fifth match, and BYU ended up winning. My cousin just got there, and they put her in. Like, she's a younger player.
Who are you cheering for there?
I know.
I'm curious if you're going for BYU or your cousin there.
I want my cousin to play well.
All right. Wes, I'll answer that question for you. I've asked Bronson that many times, and he will never give an answer because he is rooting for the family, right?
Okay.
So I don't know who he really likes.
It's hard to find out who he roots for because I was asking him who he roots for in the NFL. He played for, 3 different teams, and I don't think he ever answered that question. That's still a secret.
And we can keep it a secret. That's fine. This is a safe place, Bronson. Secrets are safe.
Hey, okay.
Safe place here on the HIG podcast.
Yes, that should be the name of the studio. The safe place.
The safe place.
We just have the safe place for our podcast today.
Can we get some signs made?
I know. We should. We really should, actually.
I don't know if you saw this. This is a signed rugby jersey from the U.S. rugby women's team that just won.
Let's go.
Every player signed it. Like,
all right.
Julie, her stepdaughter played on the team.
Spiff.
Yeah. And so, I see her signature right here.
What scored the game winner?
She did.
To get the bronze medal.
So where's that going? On a wall?
Yeah. It'll go on a wall somewhere. We're going to have some cool shoes there, I think, and sports memorabilia. And
man, I got some sports memorabilia.
I noticed you guys like shoes around here. I think several of the room that look like they're shoes.
Yeah.
Everyone's fans of shoes.
Yeah. We are.
We love shoes here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do.
MattyP's a big sneakerhead.
Okay.
He literally wore sneakers in like the first day, and I saw him, and I was like, that's like the first thing we talked about.
Yeah, not sports. It was shoes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this rolling. What's going on, everybody? This is the HIG podcast, the safe place. As you may have heard, MattyP here with Bronson Kaufusi. What's up, Bronson?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Let's actually kick this off. I have a listener question.
Oh, let's go.
It came in through our email. If you have any questions, by the way, email us, contact@harrisinvestmentgroup.com. We'd love to answer them on the show. This one is from Elena, and it said, I just want to know how I can jump on the HIG investment train.
My.
And the answer to that is actually very simple. Yeah,
There you go. I don't know if that came through.
It came through.
Okay.
Yeah, loud and clear. The answer to that is the answer to also emailing us a question. Like, just send us an email, contact@harrisinvestmentgroup.com. That comes to myself, to Bronson, and a couple other people on our investor relations team. And, whether it's a question for the show or how you can get involved in what we do, hit us up. Yeah. We'd love to help you out. Love to help you find your way through the investment world, maybe even show you the steps you can take, hold your hand through the difficult moments or whatever it may be. So
it's a safe place.
It's a safe place. Yeah. And speaking of the whole investment journey, we are super honored today to welcome our first guest that is not an employee here at Harris Investment Group, but one who has worked a lot with Jason over the years and has had a lot of firsthand experience in dealing everything with Jason and investing.
Yeah.
So I think you know him quite a bit better than I do.
No, yeah, we got Mr. Wes Hackett here. Thanks for coming today, Wes.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Looking forward to it.
Okay, wait. So maybe just tell us a little bit about your background real fast. And then I want to kind of dive into, how you met Jason Harris. Because I think we kind of met him around the same time, I think. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe like a 2-minute blurb. That'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. By the way, you guys say that this is a safe place. You should maybe have it not be a safe place. That way you can really get down into the deep, hardcore stuff that's vulnerable and, that's super impactful.
Right?
Not so safe.
Like knowing what who Bronson's really rooting for.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a heat underneath your seat right there.
So
MattyP starts turning it up, so that way we're about to
all right.
we're about to dive in.
Yeah, so my story is, I got an accounting degree, and that's my background is accounting, and I got to know Jason. Well, I went to Utah Valley, got an accounting degree, then went to Utah State, got a master's degree, worked private accounting for a bunch of years, and then I realized what I'm doing for this one company, I can do for a lot of small business, because a lot of friends and family were coming to me, asking me questions about the financial side of their small businesses. So I thought, well, I'll go start a business doing this. And sure enough, that grew. And I then joined a networking group called BNI, and that's where I met Jason.
Yeah.
He was in that group. We were both in that group for, I don't know, several months, but that's where we met and got to know him quite well. And he was a financial planner at the time, and did a sit down with him to go over my financial situation, and that's kind of where it all started.
What's your business now?
So my business is called Cloud 5 Accounting.
Okay.
And we provide bookkeeping and accounting service for many small businesses across the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A few of them outside the country, but it's a paperless virtual model. We got team members in a few different states and in Central America as well. We're about 20. There's 20 of us total now. And
wow.
So yeah, it's been fun to see the financial side of many small businesses and how that all works. So
are you headquartered here in Provo?
We're all virtual. I live up in Highland, and everyone works from home, so we don't actually have an official headquarters. So
Cloud 5.
Cloud 5.
Maybe I need to get a building like this after checking out this place. I'm like, well, maybe I need to find another building like this. Are there any around for sale?
Talk to Jason.
Talk to Jason. Speaking of Jason, so, okay, walk us through your story of how you met Jason and the whole real estate side, because it's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I say, we're both in BNI, and you have to kind of get to know each member in there and do one-to-ones with each other. But he was a financial planner, so he said, hey, come over and let's look at your whole financial situation, just see if I can help you with anything. So I went to his office and, gave him, spilled the beans, right? Let him see all my finances, which wasn't anything impressive at the time. And so I had one property that was in Spanish Fork that I'd moved out of and left it as a rental. We moved up to North Utah County at the time, but so that was the only real estate property, really my only asset at the time. But he's looking at that, and then he's looking at the 401k, the IRA that I had, and his knowledge in real estate. He told me, hey, I know I'm a financial planner, but you've got this now rental property in Spanish Fork. It was a small house, 2,000 square foot. I bought it for like $190,000, back 2006. But he said, hey, you've got a lot of equity in this one small rental property. If you could, so then that's when he rolled out the plan of improving that real estate through that one property, rather than putting more money into an IRA, 401k type of situation. So he went through that process and told me that, hey, look, you've got this. It was valued about $300,000 at the time. My mortgage on it was $90,000, so a couple $100,000 in equity. Which to me at the time, I was like, that's I was feeling pretty good about myself at the time. Right. And I had a renter in there paying me $1,400 a month, and I think my mortgage was $1,000. So I thought, man, I am killing that $400 a month.
Oh man, yeah.
So he's now talking me out of this. And I'm like, no way. It took me years to just get in this position. I can't do this. But he basically told me, if you would sell this property and roll that $200,000 of equity into 3 other properties, you're helping your money to work harder for you. And so as he is going through that, it piqued my interest, but also naturally, I think most people who start out kind of have this. You start thinking, well, if I take my $90,000 mortgage and turn that by 3 other properties. Now I've got 3 other mortgages.
Yeah.
And he helped me. He explained it to. He told me that it'd probably be about $1.5 million in mortgages. And I thought, so right then my first thought is, I'm going from 90,000 mortgage to 1.5 million mortgages. Like, that's not smart. That's not me. That's not how I roll. That's not how I play. Stay out of debt type of thing, right? That's not a prudent thing to do, is get in that much debt. So I had a hard time kind of really understanding, visualizing that. So it took him few other conversations to help me realize that that's actually a very beneficial thing to do, is taking my $90,000 mortgage, turning it into a $1.5 million mortgage with no money out of my pocket by selling it and buying 3 other properties, just taking that equity as the down payment in those 3 other properties. And now I have a much larger asset, of course, much larger liability. But if it's done right, that's smart investing. But I'll admit it took me some getting over some, and Jason helped me do this, but getting over some self-limiting beliefs, and it took a different mindset. And my wife and I were like, whoa, do we really want to, take on that kind of debt? So that's where it all started. So we sold that and bought the 3 duplexes.
Before you continue, what was there a defining moment that you and your wife, came together and ended up doing the deal? Like, what was it that really got you to that point? Because it's tough to do. Honestly, I've been in that same situation with another guy named Jason Harris. And I'm curious what helped you to move forward?
Yeah, so it was, again, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations with him, meeting at his house, meeting at his office, doing Zoom meetings. Like, we really needed to make sure we're making the right decision here, because it was not easy for us to make that jump. But he went over the numbers on paper with us several times, and the numbers did make sense. But he before we said yes and signed the deal, we went and looked at the properties, and we're going through these properties. They were not new, and they were not very clean. They were not very nice. Mm-hmm. The renters in there, as we pulled up, one of them was smoking as he walks out of the house. And immediately, my wife, she freaks out about that. She's like, no way, where are we doing this? Like, smoking inside the place that we're buying.
Jason's seeing dollar bills.
Yeah. So we walked through them, and they were just kind of a little dark, dirty, and there are definitely some things that need repaired, and lights hanging down, and broken stuff, and toilets not working very well, and definitely saw, wow, these things need some repair. So that actually scared us. So we're like, all right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're out of it.
That's scary.
And that was after we kind of already verbally said yes. So then we're going home. We're like, we're not doing this. Like,
maybe
no way,
not.
This is bad. Jason, he's able to look right past us. He's looking at the numbers, and we're looking at through the goggles of more of, would we live there, which is not the way you want to look at that. And he helped us realize that later, that he's like, hey, Wes, you're not living here. It's other people living here. So don't look at it as this is a place I would never live. And so it helped. I had to get over that mindset blocker for me to see that, okay, yeah, I guess, people are fine living in a little darker, dirtier, unkept places, and they're fine with that. But that was, again, we left that saying, we're not doing this. But a few more conversations of Jason holding our hands and showing us the numbers. Finally, the thing that got us to do it is he said, Wes, just trust me. Just trust me. Like, if this doesn't go well, I'll even just come buy these back from you, and I'll give you all your money. And so that's when I was like, all right.
Confidence right there.
I need to have some faith here. I can't see the end from the beginning very well, but I have a mentor who have proven track record, and that mentor I have to just trust, because me on myself, on my own, if I were doing this all on my own, no way would I have done it.
No way.
So we did it. We just said, faith is on you, Jason. We're moving forward, and we signed the deal. And a year later, it was the best financial decision we ever made. Looking back at it,
look at that.
It didn't come without a few challenges, but those challenges were awesome because we learned from them. nothing major. But again, a year into it, we're looking back at this and thinking, holy cow, that was amazing. That was a game changer, and it changed our lives. It truly changed our lives.
I can relate. That's like your story.
You have a similar experience with Jason.
Literally the exact same. I have literally the exact same.
He was like deja vu all over again.
No, seriously, hearing you talk, I'm like, man, that sounds just like me when I'm talking about my experience with Jason. Yeah, I walking through the deal over and over and over, having my wife there. I understood the numbers and I mean, everything that I had was mainly in the stock market, and I hadn't really been in real estate as well. And so it's just that's one of the hardest things. That's why I asked the question about like what helped you move over the edge, because there's a level of uncertainty in any investment, because there's always risk no matter what you invest in. And so but how do you mitigate the risk? And it's through exactly what you said. A few things I really love. You talked about, the knowledge, learning it yourself, having a mentor there with you along the way, going and seeing and touching. That's why we love real estate. You go see it, touch it, walk through it. It's a tangible asset. All those things increase your confidence to be able to move and through the uncertainty. That's always there. Not
to be the broken record, but very similar experience for me as well. For when my wife and I were looking at a different avenue of investing, once we sat down and talked to Jason, that was the catalyst that opened Jen's eyes, I guess, where she was like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense. This is something that we want to do. So Wes, was this the only deal, the only time that you've worked with Jason?
No, I did a couple others, but on your topic there, you and your wife, that was important too, that I brought my wife along with, because I couldn't speak the language. Jason would tell me about it. It sounds all good and amazing, and then I'd go and tell her, and I can't.
Yeah, you try to replicate it, right?
I'm like, so there's this investment. It's $1 million. It sounds awesome. Can we do? That's not good enough. But I couldn't speak to it the way he could, and so bringing her to pretty much every one of those meetings helped us both be on the same page there eventually. But so later, after we'd invested in those three. By then I knew I was sold on Jason and his knowledge and his mentorship and expertise. So we met up again like a year and a half later to figure out what's the next step now. Hey, what else do you have for me? Because that was pretty awesome what you put me in there. And so he said, hey, sell these three and turn it into something bigger. So again, we're back to the same place, right? So that one house in Spanish Fork, we turned that into three without any more money out of my pocket. And now he's saying, hey, you now have some pretty good equity. You've increased these rents, and it's just the value has gone up. Take these three, sell them off, and go get into other properties or something bigger and better. Because Jason, he figures out how to maximize your investment. Like what's not just good investments, but where is your dollar going to work the absolute hardest for you? Because there's a lot of good investments. You get into this, that, and the other, but like he likes to find how can your money work the hardest for you.
That's something about Jason I think a lot of people don't really realize, and I love that you touched on it early on in your story. Is before Harris Investment Group was here, he was a financial advisor at Edward Jones, where he would not, actually, I don't think he was allowed to talk anything real estate, or it wasn't part of what they offered. So he would go over different retirement and investment options, but his passion was real estate. His passion was, building stuff on real estate.
Yeah. He was a real estate investor by night.
And he was, that's when he started building his real estate portfolio. So he comes with a wealth of knowledge, not just with real estate and truck stops and, the things that we do here, but it extends far beyond that to pretty much the whole investing front.
Yeah. So the thing I saw in him is like you say his wealth of knowledge. He was smarter than bankers and CPAs on the topic of tax, right? Like he understands real estate tax better than probably any or all or most CPAs out there. He's teaching them, and he's giving them his tax return information. Yeah. He has to educate them on what he's doing, what's going on, which is same with bankers and lenders. There's lenders are being hung up on different things, and he's having to educate them on their own jobs. Like the knowledge there was pretty impressive, and I learned even more about that because he hired us to do the bookkeeping for a lot of his partnerships and the different entities he had.
You created our entity, mine and Jason's.
Yeah. we tracked the finances.
Oh, you did too? Yeah, you saw it.
For the few years that you had those, and others, many others. But so he's educating bankers on it all, and he's educating the CPAs on it all, and us who are the bookkeepers on it, tracking the finance. He's educating us because we're looking at a lot of these portfolios he's gotten because we're tracking the finance, and we're like, he's losing money every month. He's losing money this first year he's had it, and they're investing, they're putting more money into it. Like, what is going on here? So I had another call and meeting with Jason about this. I said, Jason, look at it. All these are losing money. And he's like, I remember him saying this. He's like, I know it's frustrating because that's what the CPA, that's the only thing they see. That's the only thing the lenders see. And then it's harder to get them to work with him because they don't see the whole picture, what he's actually trying to do here. They just see what's on paper as loss, loss, right? But if they could see the actual upside and the doubling the money on the very end, which he was doing, even though on paper we're all looking at this like, oh, Jason, you don't know what you're doing. You're losing money every month. You need to sell these off or get out of there. But he had a bigger vision, and he knew how to make that money work the hardest. And the bankers and CPAs weren't used to that. They're just not, they don't see that too often, even us. So he had to educate us on it. And sure enough, as these partnerships were starting to sell off these properties, they were selling for double what they paid for them just a year or two later, or a couple $1 million more than what they paid for them a year or two later. So he was fine with those losses throughout the year because it just meant they're working on it. He had his own strategy to value add and really make that money work the hardest, and had huge returns. And so I saw that, and I was like, okay, Jason, what's the next thing?
Yeah, what's the next one now, Jason?
And so he helped me sell those 3 properties I had, the 3 duplexes. One of them I turned into an 8-plex that was, an 8-plex. Again, this is no money out of pocket because we just sell it and put that money down on a larger property, which was a fantastic deal. And since then, when we bought that 8-plex 2-3 years ago, rents were $700 a month, $750. We've now got those. We're following the Jason method of value add, right?
Yep,
so we've improved some of them, and now those rents are $1,150 a month. And
wow, that's a big jump
in a couple of years, which is awesome. Yeah. Again, I learned that from watching him, and then another one we'd sold. So my parents were here's kind of a story for you. We have 9 kids, and my parents, 9 kids as well? Awesome.
One day I will. Let's get
life goals.
What's on my wife?
Yeah. So you hear Jason's story talk about his upbringing. There wasn't a lot of extra money for other things growing up. And so I grew up in the kind of same situation. There wasn't a lot of extra money. My dad worked a couple of jobs to make sure ends were met and food on the table and lights on and things like that. And so all of us kids, so I lived in a small town outside, about 90 minutes from here, small town Duchesne, Utah, but that's where we were all raised. So all of us kids, after we were raised, we kind of come out here to go to college and get other jobs. But so my parents stayed there, but they always wanted to move out here. They wanted all their kids, grandkids were out here, and they were out there. So we always had to drive out there to go see them. And they would shop for houses out here, but they just couldn't ever afford it. These houses just, out here just far more expensive. But, and I thought, man, I would do anything if I could just figure out how to help my parents get into a property out here so they can move out here. Well, Jason, through investing with Jason, I was able to sell one of my properties and buy a home for them in Pleasant Grove. My parents were 77, 78 at the time, 76, 78, getting older. Well, we're so happy, they're going to be out here closer to the family and grandkids. And they had been trying to do this for really 15, 20 years themselves, but just weren't able to do it. So that's cool. The very day that we were supposed to close on the house at the what do you call it that you go to that close?
The escrow?
The title company, yeah. The very hour that we were signing that I was going to go sign the papers, my parents passed away. Both of them. Same day, 4 hours apart. But my mom had passed away 4 hours earlier that day.
No way.
But the very hour, the very minute that we were supposed to be there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when he had passed away.
Oh my gosh.
From COVID. He had been in the hospital for about 10 days out here, and we were with him and thought, they're so close to move. Let's pull through this because you're so close to moving. We're signing today.
Yeah.
And the very minute we were supposed to sign is when he gave his last breath, and my mom was 4 hours, different hospitals, 4 hours sooner, and
oh my gosh,
it was pretty sad, pretty rough, but in the end it was kind of cool. They got to go together after just barely celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Wow. That's almost like a postcard from the universe, or some, it's like you did the right thing, but like they're just not moving on this day at this exact time as you thought that they were. But like, good on you.
Yeah, it was, man, we were just so excited to have them. They were so excited to move out here too. So I look at that, and like Jason also helped us get in that position that we could finally get them out here. Unfortunately, it didn't have the ending we wanted there, but in the end, looking at it, they both got to go together, which was pretty cool, but we didn't get to get them out here, but close, really, really close.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how things work out like that. Wow.
So the next day we still sign, we're that close. So now that's a rental property that I still have. And then we've also, since then we've invested in Jason's real estate fund as well. Cause whatever he's doing, I want a part of that. And so he started doing the real estate funds and invested there. And it's been very profitable and a good investment for us.
Oh, wow.
So you've been a part of this Harris Investment Group experience before Harris Investment Group even existed, really, before, the entity or the building and all that. You're one of the pioneers, the forerunners of it. Yeah,
yep. Way back when he had a different, another full-time job.
That's cool. You and Bronson both. I think you guys both jumped on that train.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
What year was that when you met Jason? Do you remember? Maybe we were
2017.
Oh yeah, so it was the same time.
Oh, was it the same time? Okay. The other thing that turned the light bulb on to me is he was telling me about some of these deals he was doing, and we were doing the books for him as well. But he was helping me realize, he's like, look, Wes, I put $19,000 into this property. Years later, that $19,000 out of pocket has turned into millions of dollars.
That concept is amazing, and I have to tell you, I have on paper a record of all of his deals. There's another podcast that we're producing right now with Jason. I've seen it on paper, and it is phenomenal. And you're exactly right. $19,000 turned into millions.
You think, how is that possible? How can you take 19 and not add to it, and it turns into millions of dollars? But he knew the way in that real estate, and he's done it many times over. But like, who wouldn't do that, right? If you could, anybody come give me 19,000, I'll turn it into millions of dollars. Like, who wouldn't do that if you could really trust that? The problem is most people don't trust it. Mm-hmm. But in his situation, like, I'll give him 19,000 anytime because I know he'll turn it into something bigger and better.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's a cool story.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me think about, what is it? Like 90% of millionaires they come from real estate, or like most of their portfolio is real estate. And I think it's that right there. Like, it really is, because it's just taking something that's not super valuable, buying it, and letting just the natural appreciation take place. And you also have just so much control. Like, that's one thing I loved about, getting to know Jason right there at the beginning is he showed me the property, and then he'd show me the $19,000, right? Like you're saying. And he'd say, this is where it's going. This is why. And this is what we expect the rents to be, and because of that, this is what we can expect the net operating income to be, and with that, this is what we expect the price to be. And then you do that over a timeline. It's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, actually, Jason. I'm in.
That makes a lot of logical sense, and I can see it.
Yeah. No, really, it's awesome.
And a lot of that didn't make sense. A lot of sense to the bankers and the CPAs. until after the fact, and you go back and show them, see, here's what happened. You were scared about what you were seeing on paper, but in the end, tripling money, and then it's like the light bulb goes off. The aha, it's like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. And we haven't even talked about the tax. We're talking about the wealth accumulation from real estate. But with Jason, you learn all the tax advantages that can really benefit you greatly. But again, early on when he was educating me on this, he helped me realize that with real estate, there's those four main things you can really benefit from: the cash flow, appreciation, debt pay down, and then the tax advantages. When he educated me on that, I thought, wow, that's amazing. Like real estate is amazing. All four of those things. Are you
Nothing
kidding
else
me?
can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool combination, honestly. So, Wes, I got a question for you. Looking back, what's one key takeaway that you would tell somebody looking back at the experience?
Man, I guess the key takeaway is, again, where I was at, I couldn't see it. I had blinders on. I had self-limiting beliefs. I couldn't see the end. I think a lot of us, we think about all the ways it can go wrong rather than thinking about how it can actually work. Jason always looks at it in the lens of, how's this going to work? I'm going to go make it work. Where I was always looking at it as like, yeah, but this could go wrong and that could go wrong. And what about this? What about that? Thinking more negative. It's a whole nother mindset thing. But I needed a mentor to help me get over those self-limiting beliefs, that mindset block, because I wasn't going to get over that myself. So I needed somebody. So that's kind of the big takeaway, is finding somebody that can help you get over those concerns, those limiting beliefs, and get the right mindset, and then just trust them. If they have a good track record and they've been successful, that's who you need. Get them in your court, let them do their thing. You watch, you learn, you become the student, and it's pretty amazing. My whole mindset's changed. My knowledge, my education on it all has changed because of that.
I think the three of us in this room are biased to Jason just because we have all had that experience with Jason. And the answer for the person that someone's looking for doesn't necessarily have to be Jason, but it's finding that person that can teach them, that they can trust, right? Finding that guru or that person willing to take the time. Jason, of course, he's on the podcast regularly. He's here in the office. He answers questions all the time. We're doing a lecture series here where he's talking about this journey that he's been on, this real estate journey. He is always willing to talk to people and to answer questions. So if anybody listening does have a question for Jason, you know how to contact us. You can email us here at contact@harrisinvestmentgroup.com. Jason is very approachable. He'll answer whatever questions. He has such a passion for educating, which is something the three of us have all experienced.
And appreciate so much.
And appreciate. Oh man, yeah, for sure.
And I do like his humble approach about it too, because he has said several times, I've heard him say that the only difference between me and others, myself, is just the knowledge. He's just acquired the knowledge. He's got the knowledge. Anybody can go and acquire the knowledge. Just put in the time, find that mentor, get that knowledge, and you can do the same things he's doing.
Dang, we got to end it with that. That was awesome.
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah, that was a powerful statement. Man, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Really
that was
appreciate
fun.
you.
Let's go get some more real estate.
Let's do it. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
HIG Podcast.
HIG.